Hey everybody, how's it going? This is John Breeden. It is March 27th, 2019. I'm back here today. It is Wednesday on the show, but it is not a preview show today. I am reviewing Martinsville because I was out on Monday, had a very busy day, and didn't have enough time to get around to doing a show. So I am back here today to review Martinsville. The Texas preview will be on Friday, so I will make up for that. Today was supposed to be the Texas review, but like I said, I was busy, so I had to postpone the show until today. So I'm back here to talk about Martinsville, and the Friday show will include all three previews for Texas, Truck, Xfinity, and Cup, and will also include, yes, the new qualifying format procedure. And it would also include the changes to the NASCAR schedule. The 2020 NASCAR schedule was released yesterday, but I am not here to talk about that today. I will talk about it on Friday. I will add, as far as the NASCAR schedule, I'm sure mostly everybody has seen it by now. I think it's a mixed bag of good and bad. Think, though, in the long run, the good will outweigh the bad, but I will get to that on Friday. Today, I'm strictly staying towards this past weekend. We had Saturday and Sunday action at Martinsville, Trucks and Cup. I was there live, as you might have seen by now. I was there live for the Martinsville Cup race, the STP 500, and thought overall I had a great time. And before I get into the race weekend, I just want to talk about my Martinsville experience. So, like I just said, I had a great time and thought the race was all right. Wasn't the best Martinsville race in the world, but wasn't bad or anything. But I got to get some track passes, as I do usually every year. And I went down and walked around on the track. Not just me, obviously. I go with my younger brother, my granddad, and my dad, and we all went down on the track. And if you noticed, I got a few pictures with some drivers. I met some drivers, got their autographs. Some of the few guys I ran into Bubba Wallace, got a picture with him. Rusty Wallace, I ran into him. Jamie Little, Michael Waltrip, Clint Boyer. I got autographs from Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch, as well as Bill Elliott, which I actually forgot to include that in. I put my Chase signed hat on my Instagram story, and I forgot to mention that Bill Elliott later on came by and he signed the hat. So I have both Chase and Bill Elliott signatures on that Napa 9 hat, and Kyle Busch signed my Nosferatu can. I thought that was awesome. I've actually never gotten the chance to meet Kyle or get his autograph, so that was very cool. What was funny is, okay, so if you've been to Martinsville and you've been down on the track, you probably know this, but you enter the track. When you get the passes, you go through turn 4. So you enter through the gate, turn 4, and you walk down the track. You can walk down to the start-finish line. They usually have, like, the stage there. Somebody's playing music. Somebody's throwing away, or not throwing away, but throwing out hats. You can walk down pit road, take pictures of cars. But the key to meeting drivers at Martinsville and why I've been able to meet so many drivers over the years is because if you go to Martinsville, right as the second you walk in, you see this rope it's roped off. It ropes off turn 4, so you really only come out on the front stretch. Turn 3 and 4 is blocked off. You can't walk down there, or the back stretch. So they have that rope there that keeps you between turn 4 and the front stretch. So right there at that rope are stairs, and they put them over top of the wall, so drivers and people, they don't have to keep jumping over the wall. They walk up the stairs, they walk down to get to pit road instead of having to, jump over the wall. So basically, there's stairs to get to pit road, basically. So if you stand right there, that's really one of the only ways the drivers can get in, because the drivers, they're camped out behind turns 3 and 4, so they usually walk through the turn 4 entrance and they go across the stairs to get to pit road. So really, all you have to do is you stand right next to those stairs, you stand behind that rope, and pretty much every single driver pretty much walks by there at least once. And when they come around for driver introductions, they of course ride around in that truck, and they stop at turn 4. They stop right there at that stairway and right there at that rope, and they'll go all over and sign autographs as they get off the truck to head to pit road after the driver introduction. So Martinsville, I say, the tracks I've been to, I've met people at Richmond, I've met people at Bristol, but overall, if you want to meet drivers, you got to go to Martinsville. You got to go to Martinsville, and you got to get a track pass, because I tell you what, I can't sit here and guarantee you're going to meet every single driver, but pretty much every single driver will walk by you. You'll be arm's length away from pretty much every single driver. I've met Dale Jr. there. I've met Chase Elliott. God, the list goes on and on. Danica Patrick, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez. I mean the only few drivers I have not met are Jeff Gordon, believe it or not. My favorite driver since I was 4 years old. I've never actually met him in person. I've never met Tony Stewart. And until Sunday, I had never met Kyle Busch, which I guess you can't consider a met, but he gave me an autograph, so that was cool. But I never had an interaction with Kyle Busch until Sunday, and yeah, it was a pretty good day. So, like I said, who will I meet? I met Bubba Wallace, Rusty Wallace, Jamie Little, Michael Waltrip, Clint Boyer. I met Ryan Blaney. Let's see, who else? Like I said, Chase, Kyle Busch, Bill Elliott gave me autographs. I'm trying to think of who else. But pretty much every driver walked by me. So, I was close to almost every single driver, but yeah, it was a great experience, and it's always fun to be on the track and see the drivers walking by. And actually, what was funny is these security guards at Martinsville. They're absolute morons. I don't think they watch racing, because, so like I said, drivers, they have to walk through that gate to get onto the track and get to pit road. Kyle Larson comes through, and the security guard doesn't recognize who it is. So he asked for his ID, and I guess Kyle Larson forgot his ID, and they sent him out of there. They did not let him go through. They thought he was just some fan trying to get in there, and they had to send him around, and he had to go all the way around the other side of the track and somehow get in. I guess there's another entrance somewhere else, but he could not get through the main entrance, and the guy did not recognize as Kyle Larson. It was crazy. And surprisingly, no fans spoke up and been like, hey, that was Kyle Larson. But then again, Larson was moving pretty fast. Like, the second this guy told him, oh, you can't get in, he was pretty much gone. He didn't really argue with the guy, and I just couldn't. And it wasn't even Larson. It's like every driver, they had to check their ID. I was like, dude, like, I recognize all these guys. It's like, how do you not, especially Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson has been one of the bigger names the past few years, and you didn't recognize who he was. It was just, it was crazy, but yeah. So that was my Martinsville experience. I basically stood there. I pretty much sat on the pit wall pretty much all day. Just all day. The second we got there, we got some track pass. We bought the track passes at the track. We went straight to the track. We sat there, and yeah, we interacted with drivers, and just kind of sat there and waited. And once driver introductions are over, made it to our seats, and Overall, I pretty much enjoyed myself during the race. I didn't think it wasn't like I said, one of the best Martinsville race in the world, and it was lagging a little bit, but overall, I thought there was some good racing, and yeah, it was a good time. So, my first trip to the track in 2019, it was a good time. So, all right, so now it is time to get into Saturday's truck race, which in my opinion was better than the Cup race, but my opinion, so far this year, this is the best truck race. The TruNorth Global 250 was on Saturday. I was not there for this. I was watching on TV. So I have notes on this. I really don't have any notes on the Cup race, I might add. I kind of just, obviously I was there live, so I was not going to be taking notes. I wanted to enjoy the race, so I'll try to give you my best live perspective on everything that was going on. But nonetheless, TruNorth Global 250. Front row was Stuart Friesen and Kyle Busch. Austin Dillon and Bubba Wallace, 2 Cup drivers, were both in the field, which I did not see that when I was going over the race on Wednesday. I guess it was just announced earlier that week that they were going to be racing, but I did not see that. So, anyway, they were in the field. Austin Dillon was driving the 8 truck, I believe. And Bubba Wallace was driving the 22 truck. So, they actually, I don't know, I forget what truck Austin Dillon was driving. I forget what number, but I don't think it was 8. Anyway, he was in the race. So they start. Stuart Friesen leads lap 1, and Friesen was really doing a good job holding off Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch was really battling him here. It was a good battle for the lead early on. Lots of contact between these two. Kyle was on the inside. Stuart Friesen kept holding him off on the outside. But Kyle Busch would finally get by at lap 9. Johnny Sauter, the multi-time Martinsville winner, would move to second at lap 29. Todd Gilliland nearly wrecks Sheldon Creed for 4th at lap 37. Yeah, so, I mean, Gilliland, they went into turn 1, and he was diving in on him on the inside and just bulled him out of the way. Creed went way up the racetrack. And then Sheldon Creed, as he was trying to recover, got hit pretty much exactly the same way by Brett Moffitt 2 laps later when he was trying to recover. So he lost a number of positions. Kyle Busch, like I mentioned, he took the lead, and he was ahead by 3 seconds, with 20 to go in the stage. Johnny Sauter fell back to 3rd with 9 laps to go. They were speculating it was a possible engine issue. I forget exactly what the specific issue was, but he was having an engine problem. And Gus Dean, the 12 truck, went up in flames to bring out the caution with 8 laps to go. Flames deployed from the 12 truck up in turn 2. So that was the first caution of the race. And they would actually run it out to conclusion in this stage. Kyle Busch would win the stage under caution. So that ultimately ended the stage. So the top 10, this stage was Kyle Busch, Stuart Friesen, Johnny Sauter, Todd Gilliland, Ross Chastain, Matt Crafton, Brett Moffitt, Austin Hill, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon was in the 8 truck, as I see here. And Raphael Lezard in the 46 truck. So Kyle Busch dominated the stage after a hard-fought battle with Stuart Friesen. And Sauter and Gilliland both looked strong in that first stage. But as I mentioned, Sauter was having some sort of issue. Kyle Busch was off pit road first. Todd Gilliland has a slow stop. They had a problem with the right rear tire, so he lost a few positions. Austin Hill stayed out to begin stage 2. So they restarted, and Kyle Busch quickly regained the lead. And Ben Rhodes would punt. I wrote here, Ben Rhodes punts Austin Hill for 5th place at lap 43. Austin Hill was kind of in the way there. He's trying to stay out, and wasn't working for him. And Ben Rhodes put the bumper to him. Daniel Sasnet spins in turns 3 and 4. This would bring out the caution with 23 to go in stage 2. This is the second caution of the race. Kyle Busch off pit road first during this caution. Ross Chastain second. Austin Hill was third. Stuart Friesen and Brett Moffitt would actually stay out under this caution. So they restart. Friesen clears for the lead. Ross Chastain fights hard for second. Brett Moffitt goes back to fifth after contact with Chastain. Yeah, they came off 4 here, and they both nearly wrecked. I think Moffitt got loose underneath Chastain, and he nearly slid, and as well as Chastain, both of them nearly wrecked off 4. And Chastain would move Stuart Friesen for the lead with 10 to go in the stage. He would get to the bumper, and I think it was in turn 3 and 4. He put the bumper to him, move him up out of the way. Ross Chastain was to the lead. And going on behind him was a hard battle for second between Stuart Friesen, Ben Rhodes, and Kyle Busch. These guys were just battling very hard for that second position. And then finally, after like 7 or 8 laps of battling, Rhodes would move Friesen on the last lap of the stage, and Busch would get third, so they'd both pass Stuart Friesen. But Ross Chastain putting on an excellent performance at Martinsville. He would win stage 2. The top 10 was Ross Chastain, Ben Rhodes, Kyle Busch, Stuart Friesen, Brett Moffitt. We have Harrison Burton, Johnny Sauter, Austin Hill, Myatt Snyder, and Todd Gilliland. Very impressive run by Ross Chastain. The late caution shook things up, cost Kyle Busch ultimately the stage. Awesome battle for second place in that last 10 laps. But at this point, I still thought Kyle Busch is probably still going to win somehow. And spoiler, I was right. So, final stage. Ross Chastain clears Ben Rhodes for the lead. Moffitt and Enfinger exchange bump and runs with 94 to go. So basically, Moffitt would just drive Grant Enfinger in the corner in turn 3. It wasn't even really a bump and run. They were going full speed in that corner. I don't know how they didn't wreck. And Moffitt put the bumper to Enfinger, moved him out of the way. And I think it was the very next corner, Enfinger would do the same thing, move him back up, and then somehow Moffitt would still get back by him. I guess he just put the bumper to him again. So Kyle Busch moves to second by Ben Rhodes during a commercial break. Chastain uses the lap trucks to stay ahead for a while. He was doing a good job using the picks, and Kyle was having a tough time, but he would finally get by Ross Chastain with 65 laps to go. Left rear tire down for Johnny Sauter. He was running 4th at the time, and there was no caution. So a tough break for Johnny Sauter. Daniel Sasnet spins out again. This was his second spin of the race, putting the caution out with 62 to go. Kyle Busch clears Chastain on the restart with 52 to go. Chastain loses second and third to Rhodes and Moffitt with 41 to go. So Chastain, the win slowly slipped away. Corey Roper spins, and that would bring out the caution with 40 laps to go. Kyle Busch and Ben Rhodes were the front row with 35 to go. Busch would clear. Moffitt gets Rhodes a shot. He saves it, but then Moffitt would fall back to 4th. I think there's a big log jam here, and that's why Moffitt was trying to put the bumper to him, but it ended up not working out for him. It was pretty much a accordion effect, and everybody got jammed up. Lots of beating and banging mid-pack. The top 5 with 10 laps to go. Things started to get strung out. It was Kyle Busch, Ben Rhodes, Brett Moffitt, Ross Chastain, Stuart Friesen. But then Tyler Dipple would spin out with 8 laps to go. So this would change everything. Kyle Busch, Ben Rhodes, first and second. It would be 3 laps to go. What is going to happen? Well, what's going to happen is Kyle Busch would easily clear for the lead. And then on the last lap, I wrote here the 44 truck. I did not I did not know who was driving that 44 truck, so I just wrote here, whoever was driving the 44, he spun out on the last lap, and the race would end under caution. Kyle Busch wins at Martinsville. 54th career truck win. Third straight Truck Series win in 2019. He is now 3 for 3. His second truck win at Martinsville. Last one was in 2016. And his 201st win across all 3 top major NASCAR divisions. Great race overall. I thought, like I said, it was the best truck race so far this year. And congrats to Kyle Busch. But man, did I want to see Ross Chastain win. You talk about Ross Chastain and what he's been through this year. Thought he was going to drive for Chip Ganassi in the Xfinity Series, and then sponsorship fell through, and he's just driving his heart out right now. I mean, he is just absolutely killing it. And by the way, I also did meet Ross Chastain on Sunday. There's another driver that I met. Very cool guy, Ross Chastain. Let's go over the race results here. Kyle Busch. This is, of course, the top 10, first through 10th. We have Kyle Busch, Ben Rhodes, Brett Moffitt, Ross Chastain, 4th, like I mentioned. Great run for him. Stuart Friesen, and then Myatt Snyder was 6th. He drove the 27 truck, which he actually said in his interview, it's one of the fastest trucks I've had, and I felt like track position kept us back. If I would have been up there next to Kyle Busch, I would have had something for him. I don't know about that one. I think he would have he had a great run, but I do not think that Myatt Snyder would have challenged Kyle Busch for the win. I just think Kyle just dominated. And that caution got him behind Ross Chastain, and I just think Kyle would have ran away with this thing. But nonetheless, still a great run, though, for Myatt Snyder, 6th place. Grant Enfinger was 7th. And 8th through 10th, Matt Craft and Johnny Sauter fought back for a 9th place finish. A big-time comeback by Sauter. Lots of problems in that race. Still came back for a top 10. Darrell Wallace Jr. was 10th. He was actually a lap down at one point in that race and came back, finished top 10. We have 11th through 20th. David Gilliland, Harrison Burton, Austin Dillon, Raphael Lezard, Sheldon Creed, Todd Gilliland, Derek Kraus, Austin Hill, Tyler Ankrum, Spencer Davis, 11th through 20th. And rounding out the field, 21st through 32nd. Here we go. Timmy Hill, Austin Terrio, Tyler Dipple, Reed Wilson, Corbin Forrester, Jordan Anderson, Spencer Boyd, Travis Quaffle, Brennan Poole, Daniel Sassnet, Corey Roper, and Gus Dean. That is your field for the TruNorth Global 250. And their next race is Texas this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. Martinsville, Sunday, the Cup race. STP 500. The stages were 130 laps, 240 laps. And like I said, I did not take too many notes on this, so I'll do the best I can here. So, Logano, of course, started on the pole for this race, and quickly Brad Keselowski worked his way to the front. I think it was within the first 10 laps that Brad Keselowski was out front. Pretty much dominate this stage. There was a caution during the stage. David Reagan had a hard hit to the outside turn 4 wall. Had a flat tire. It's a pretty hard hit. I mean, he went straight. I saw it as it happened. I was looking in that direction as it happened. And, boy, I mean, he was coming off turn 4. He had it straight and just went right into the wall. It's a pretty hard hit. But overall, Brad Keselowski dominated. Chase Elliott made a lot of big moves here. He got up to second in this stage and got very close to Brad Keselowski there. It was a kind of a photo finish when they came to the line at the end of the stage. About half a car length Brad Keselowski had on Chase Elliott. And it was weird because I don't know if this was in the first stage, but it was some point in the race where these guys Keselowski and Chase pretty much ran 1-2 this entire race. And I was watching the whole time, he would close in on Brad, get within like half a car length. He would get like to his bumper, and then Brad would just drive away. He just could not get to him. He'd get close to him, and then Brad would pull away. He'd get close, Brad would pull away. It happened like six or seven times during that race. It was weird. It was just Brad's car was just so much faster, but he would lay off and then he would get going again. It was crazy, but nonetheless, the top 10 here: Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, then Clint Bowyer, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, and Austin Dillon. Kyle Busch, up until that final stage, really did not have all that great of a car. And at least as expected. Obviously, he ran 9th. I mean, that was still pretty good, but for expectations of Kyle Busch, his car was not running where we thought it would be. Figured he'd be in the top 5, if not leading, but didn't happen here. Ryan Blaney had a very fast car. Eric Almirola had a very fast car. So they were both in the top 5 for that stage. So stage 2, Brad Keselowski pretty much dominated. I think this was the stage that Chase took the lead at some point. And Ryan Blaney really came into his own in the stage as well. He was making some moves. He was up there in the top 5, running really strong. Daniel Suarez was running really good. He was in the top 10, as well as Harvick. Martin Truex Jr. was up in the top 5, and I mean, overall, pretty much everybody was chasing Brad in this race. The top 10 of that stage was Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., then Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick, Clint Bowyer, Daniel Suarez, and Joey Logano. I do apologize. This isn't going to be the best review because, like I said, I was there live, so I was not taking notes. So I'm just trying to remember everything that happened in this race, and it's kind of hard to do that when I didn't take notes. But final stage, like I said, not too many exciting things really happened in this race. I mean, Brad pretty much just put the whipping on the field. He led 446 of 500 laps. He just absolutely dominated. Really had no close competition all race long, besides Chase Elliott, who did actually take the lead from him. That was the only time Brad Keselowski lost the lead during the race. And it was one of the... Okay, Chase Elliott did not take the lead until that final stage, because now I remember, because Chase took the lead and caution would come out and they came down pit road. Brad Keselowski won the race off of pit road, and I'm pretty sure that was the last lead change of the race, because Chase did not get back to the lead after he lost the lead on pit road. So yeah, I mean, Brad pretty much dominated. Chase Elliott late in the race there with about 8 laps to go. He was kind of doing the diamond in the corner. He would go up to the outside. He would drive it to the bottom and was really closing the gap. I think it was like, if it was like 5 more laps, or had he done that 5 laps sooner, I think Chase would have been able to maybe put the bumper to Brad Keselowski. I don't think he would have been able to pass Brad, because Brad was just so fast. But yeah, I think there were like 7 or 8 cautions in this race. I think I speculated on Wednesday that would be probably the amount of cautions we would see. So it was right around there. I think it was 7. I'm not for sure, but yeah, Brad Keselowski, dominant performance. Led all but 54 laps for his second grandfather clock. And I believe they said his 29th career victory. He passed Carl Edwards on the all-time win list. So congratulations, Brad Keselowski. A well-deserved win. His second win of 2019. Continues the streak that Team Penske and Joe Gibbs are the only 2 teams to win in 2019. Second repeat winner as well. So let me go over this race results here. Top 5, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin. 4 of the 5 top 5 spots, Joe Gibbs and Team Penske. 6th through 10th, we have Kevin Harvick, Clint Bowyer, Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. was my pick for this race. Just did not exceed expectations. I mean, he was up in the top 10 all day, top 5. He was running strong, so I suppose it was for me, it was a decent pick. But, yeah, Brad Keselowski, I mean, who would have known Brad would have led almost all the laps? So, Martin Truex Jr. was 8th. Eric Almirola was 9th. Daniel Suarez, 10th. A great run for Daniel Suarez, second top 10. And I was disgusted to hear what happened to Suarez after the race. That some fan, some moron, decided to throw a beer can from the stands at Daniel Suarez and holler, "You Mexican," at him. Which I certainly hope. I haven't seen any fan photos or fan footage, but if it wasn't taken, nobody will ever know who it was. But I certainly wish that guy would not be allowed into a NASCAR track again. Just disgusting. And that's all really I have to say about it, because it was simply a disgusting act. And I certainly hope Daniel Suarez paid no attention to that, because that's just classless and, like I said, just disgusting. So, nonetheless, though, great job by Daniel Suarez getting to top 10 at Martinsville, one of the tracks that he wasn't really too competitive at his first 2 seasons in the Cup, and was able to get a top 10 today. Sunday, more like it. 11th through 20th, we have Austin Dillon, who had a solid run. Kurt Busch. Ty Dillon, 13th. Great run for Ty Dillon. Alex Bowman, 14th. Paul Menard, 15th. 16th through 20th, Ryan Preece. Darrell Wallace Jr., his first top 20 of 2019. Kyle Larson. Joey Logano, the pole sitter, 19th place for Joey Logano. I don't exactly know what happened to him, but just had a poor afternoon. Matt DiBenedetto is 20th. We have 21st through 30th. Chris Buescher, William Byron, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson, 24th place at Martinsville. A 9-time Martinsville winner, 24th place. Speculated a few weeks ago that Hendrick was starting to get better and Jimmy Johnson was starting to improve, but man, if I were Jimmy, if I were that Hendrick 48 team, I'd be hitting the panic button, because this it's not good. Especially at a track he's dominated over the years. This is not good. And I do recall, like, the only time I saw Jimmy Johnson's car during the race was he was getting lapped. So that can tell you how poor of a day Jimmy Johnson was having. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 25th. David Reagan, 26th. Daniel Hemrick, 27th. Landon Castle, 28th. Matt Tiff, 29th. Eric Jones, 30th. I'm trying to recall what happened to Eric Jones. I believe he had a tire down. That is what happened. Yeah, he was rubbing up with Kyle Larson. Those two were... Jones was on the outside, Larson was on the inside, and those two rubbed up against each other, and Jones ended up having a flat left rear, I believe, so cost him a solid day. Rounding out the field, 31st through 36th, Michael McDowell, DJ Kennington, Corey LaJoie, Ross Chastain, Jeb Burton, and Cody Ware. So as I mentioned, I thought the race was all right. It was not the best Martinsville race. I do think it was better than last year's Martinsville spring race. That one was just kind of, I'll put it straight up, it was pretty boring. I do remember that, but yeah, this race was better, and Brad Keselowski is definitely showing that he wants that second championship. He's come close in recent years. If you think of 2014, 2016, 2017, including last year as well, he had some 3 wins and hadn't been able to close the deal. So maybe this is the year for Keselowski to get that second championship. His first was, of course, back in 2012, which was, in fact, the last year for Dodge in NASCAR, but it was Team Penske's first Cup championship. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me today. I will be back on Friday to preview Texas. We have Truck, Xfinity, and Cup this weekend. And yes, I will be back on Friday to discuss the new qualifying procedures and the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series schedule, which was released yesterday. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's up on NASCAR.com. Go check it out. You'll be surprised, whether you're pleasantly surprised or you're disappointedly surprised. You're going to be surprised at the schedule, but I think the majority of fans are going to like the new changes. But I'll be back to talk about it on Friday. That is all. Everybody have a great day.